Hi, welcome to another episode of Unlock. So today I want to talk, quick concept. I just want to talk about the power of the mic, meaning like who is the speaker, who is the person carrying the message. And I was thinking about this because I think in business, if you're running an organization or you're starting to build a team, or I think really in general, the same message can create huge different effects. Same message can create huge different effects depending on what party or who specifically is saying the message. So I'll give you an example. So my name is Richard Anderson. I'm nobody here. So if I show up at work and I tell everybody, all of our people, and I say, hey, so there's going to be a third world war, then people would laugh and nothing would happen. But we're in the middle of the election period. So if Trump goes on and says there's going to be we're starting World War III, the same message, because it's said by him, would create an entirely different result or an entirely different reaction, right? And I think it's very important when it comes to business and how the ability, really this has helped a lot for me, like the ability to build teams and using social influence, reading a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini, and the power of social influence and how like people normally decide and make, when people are uncertain, they decide based on what everyone else is doing. Everyone does, it's human behavior. And so I noticed that if I go to, a bunch of people that work for me, employees, and I say, hey, you guys suck. You have to do better. This is terrible. You suck. Then I leave the room, and the response what's the kind of response that I'm going to get? The response is going to be, well, Richard is being a total dick, or that's terrible. Like, what a terrible management. That's not good. And people would probably rebel and turn against me and whatever, right? Now, I want you to think the other way around. So let's say I'm in the room or I'm not in the room, but there's a bunch of employees that work there and they're all at the same level. And one of them comes in with like a little bit of a critique or critiquing spirit, and he says, hey, I think we suck as a team. And I think we have a good opportunity to work here, a good opportunity to grow, and I think we are not putting the effort that this deserves, and we should do better because we are being taken care of. I think we suck. That message, which is the same message, is telling the team that the team isn't doing well because it's being done by a person maybe cross-line to the employee or a person at the same level, at the same position, same salary, same advancement opportunity. Because the message is from that side or a person in that level, it is conveyed a lot differently. And I couldn't stop to think about this, where, for example, we're implementing a new bonus for brand new people, and we're trying to help churn, we're trying to help lower employee churn and stuff like that. And we realize, like, hey, we have a lot of people hitting the bonus. We have people making $1,400 in their first week, their first couple of weeks. And we just had like our first wave of people, like, on their first 14 days, make a $1,400 paycheck, which is for week one, considering they're doing sales, it's pretty good. And I was thinking like, okay, we can go into the middle of the room and we can shout out, we can give recognition, we can point at the people that are doing it, or we can have those people talk about their experience, talk about their first few paychecks. And I realized that's maximized a lot the growth and the explosiveness of the team organically, because an actual teammate was the messenger versus me. Everybody expects the boss, or everybody expects the manager, or everybody expects the father in the family, or everybody expects the teacher in the classroom, or everybody expects the coach in the locker room. They expect the message from that person, so then it carries a different weight. But same message, same thing again. If coach leaves the locker room and the captain or one of the players, maybe even probably the newer the player and the less weight they carry leadership-wise, the more effect it has, which is kind of funny because we always talk about the importance of the leader communicating, and we talk about, the leader has to carry the mission, the vision, the leader has to carry the message. But in this case, I would encourage you, get people underneath you, get people that are in the trenches, that are bought into you to actually share the message, because it will be seen as, hey, this person clearly doesn't want to get anything out of me because they're not financially incentivized. And I think that message carries a lot more. Back to the locker room, the coach leaves, disappointed. Maybe we're in halftime and, team's losing. And, one of the newest players goes up and stands up in the middle of the locker room and says, hey, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're not putting in all the effort. And whether some of the players might react aggressively or might not like it, they're still going to look at it, like, even if they disagree, they're going to look at it like, okay, like, the fact that you're saying that is not specifically directed to me, the person really believes it. So I just want to encourage anybody listening, like, hey, if you're building a team, you're building maybe you're starting to build something, you have a small team, you're starting to build an organization, you're starting to build, maybe it's a sales team or an HR, it doesn't matter. Like, when there's victory, when there's some level of success, think about the next message. You want to recognize people. You want to share the success stories. It's the power of the mic. Who has the microphone changes a lot the influence on the message. So if you can get the people underneath you, if you can get the people that are just hitting their first quota, they're just making their first sale, they're just hitting their first level in whatever endeavor, and you give the microphone to that person, they won't sound as good as you, but you'll be able to stand in the back. And when they say, hey, I made this much, or I made my first sale, or the system of onboarding was phenomenal, or this and that, you'll be able to point and be like, wow, that must be true. And I've noticed that it takes patience from the leader. It takes also thinking, which is, there's a hint, there's a clue, right? You definitely got to stop and think versus just keep going and keep going and keep going. You want to use your resources around you, but I think it'll help expedite the team. It'll help blow up the team, and it'll help really in any area move the culture forward, because you're really thinking, who has power on the microphone today. So train the person, help the person be more vocal, help the people, help that group, that department, understand what your mission is. And I always pull people aside and I say, hey, look, I'm really honest. I don't really try to beat around the bush. And I pull the person and I say, hey, I want you to say this. And I know you've been here for 2 weeks, but I'm going to put you in the middle of the room and I want you to say it like if it was your idea. Like, this was phenomenal, or whatever it is that I'm trying to edify and build, whatever it is that I'm trying to promote. Hey, the team night yesterday was great. Everybody's going to expect me to say the team night was great because it's a company team event. But when the new person says it, it carries a way bigger, different weight, because again, the person is not, everybody understands person isn't financially incentivized. So I would encourage you to bring the person in, tell them exactly what you want them to do. Be very specific and clear about your expectations on the messaging, and tell them, hey, outside of what you're doing for your job, this counts as a part of your training, because I want to teach you how to communicate. And it's not just how to communicate, but who communicates what makes a big difference. And that's why I wanted to talk about the power of the mic. So that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you so much. See you at the next one.